you're my first guest for season 3,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
and I'm happy to have you, like the first guest in season 3, 'cause I've done 1 and 2, now season 3, kicking off with you, I'm happy, I'm glad,
To
yeah.
pave the way for everyone else.
Yeah, no, I know that, and I know you have the fighting power, the will to just open the way, because you open doors anyway. That's good. So, Askdpros, is about talking to professionals, entrepreneurs like you, all over the world, all over the globe. They come on the show, share their stories. As we know, each story is different, each story is unique. You alone can tell your story. So in telling your story and on your journey as well, is to motivate and inspire others. So it's just a thing I started doing, based on my own story as well. If I could tell my story, that means I can tell other people's stories as well. In a way, hopefully I'll be able to impact someone out there, and having you on the show, I know you've got words of experience in terms of work, but for you, I think you've done a lot of interviews regarding work, but you've never really told your story, have you?
No, I haven't.
So it's quite different, and I don't really want to put it as work. We might touch on that a bit, but it's just all about you, and people that don't really know you, I want them to know who you, Oluwa Yemisi, is.
That works.
So Oluwa Yemisi Falaye, welcome to Askdpros.
Thank you very much for having me as well.
Yeah, nice one. It's glad. So to kick things off, you always start from the beginning. So if you want to tell the listeners, the community, the audience, who Yemisi is, and how was Yemisi growing up?
Well, Yemisi is Yemisi Falaye. I was born on the 4th of September, 1980. So that means 4th of September this year, I'm going to be 40.
Oh, whoa, big 40. Are you excited? Is there going to be a party though?
No way. No party. No party. So yeah, I was born on 4th of September 1980. I'm the first child out of 3 children.
Okay.
So I have one younger brother, my immediate younger brother, and then I have one younger sister. So 3 of us. I was born into a pretty simple family. I remember my father died when I was 19, and prior to his death, we had it was a very small, happy family. My father was a banker, my mother was a banker as well, but at some point my mother retired, and my father was, the main breadwinner of the house. Growing up was pretty fun. My father was the very liberal one. He was the type that it never beat me for the 19 years that we were together. Not once, even though my mom did the whooping, But my dad was a very simple, fantastic man, and he ensured that we had a very fun and almost very good growing up days, So we will get what we want as long as it's in his capability. And the ones that he couldn't get, he will explain to you why, you can have it now, and perhaps give you a time frame when you can have it. So growing up was pretty much comfortable. I went to a primary school called Martinez Primary School. And then I went to Nigerian Navy, attended the Nigerian Navy Secondary School. I finished secondary school in 1997.
Okay.
And then went to, attended Ogun State University, now known as Olabisi Onabanjo University in Ogun State, to study law. And I got called to bar in 2005. Did my NYC in 2006. finished in 2007 and started work immediately. And it's been a roller
Wow.
coaster trip from then.
Wow. Wow, fantastic. Sorry to hear about your dad.
That's fine.
Losing your dad at that age. Going back to that, did that have any negative impact on you from the age of 19?
I was a fresher in the university. It was my 100 level first semester. And, because we're so closely knitted as a family, it was a bit difficult to yank off, go to school. Of course, I went to the boarding house when I was in secondary school. So once in a while, we'll go home. But when I found the liberty of going home and being with my parents all the time, I didn't hesitate to take it up. So every weekend I will go home from school. Luckily school wasn't so far from home. So I'll go home from school every weekend. So one of those weekends I went home and the first person I saw was my mom's stepmother, my grandmother. And I was just like, and it was really weak, I think on Friday or so, or Thursday. And I was wondering what she was doing in our house during the week, you know. And I moved forward a bit, and then I now saw my mom's cousin. And I was still wondering what these two people were doing in our house. As soon as my mom's cousin saw me, he grabbed me. And I'm still wondering what was going on. And then I got into the house. I saw at the corner my dad's photograph, two flower vases,
Wow,
condolences.
Jesus.
it was
Wow.
it was crazy. It was crazy. Um, Obviously things turned around. Like I said, at some point my mom retired. She became a housewife stroke farmer. We had a poultry then, So, but the weight on her became unbearable, and then of course affected us growing up. I didn't have as much as I had before my father died, and that was a bit uncomfortable. But over time, we adjusted, and thankfully, God did it. Saw me through the university, saw me through law school, and immediately I got a job, and things, started to become normal. And yeah, the rest is history. Thank God for where we are now.
Yeah, yeah. And how was your mom then?
It was my mom didn't take it well at all. At all.
I could just imagine, man.
I
Devastating.
remember, yeah, I remember it affected her psychologically. He died 1st of May 1999, and 7 days after we buried him. From that 1st of May till 7th of May when he was buried, my mom lost her senses. She wasn't in her right mind at all. But as soon as she saw the corpse and we finished the funeral, I guess reality set in for her, and she started to feel better. But it wasn't a it wasn't a palatable experience at
I
all.
know, I know, I know.
It wasn't
I could just imagine. It's hard. Like for me, I lost my dad when I was young, but I didn't really grow up with a dad, so I didn't really feel. It won't really like the whole situation would probably won't impact a young guy like me like that. Like you were all grown, so
yeah.
it's a different experience for you entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really sorry about that, Yemisi. Sorry about that. Well, growing up as a child, were you passionate about anything? Did you have any interest, growing up?
Did I? I'm not sure if I. Well, I think I always wanted to be in the entertainment world. I always wanted to be part of the entertainment industry growing up as a child. I remember watching movies, listening to music, listening to different songs, and always wanted to be part of, whatever makes up a movie, whatever makes up songs, So I don't think I ever thought I was going to be a lawyer, but I always knew that I was going to be in the entertainment industry as a child, because I was always fascinated by music, fascinated by actors, TV. I loved TV a lot. I remember my mom used to beat me a lot because growing up in a Yoruba home, the first thing you expected,
were you the kid that was going to the neighbor's house to always watch TV, or you just
we're far from our neighbors, but I always got
okay.
beaten for watching TV first. As soon as you wake up, my mom would rather, you do some house chores, you pray and all of that, then you can, watch TV. But for me, as soon as I wake up, TV is the first thing I want to watch. And I remember admiring TV hosts. I remember Fumi Yoda, then Jumobi, Mufedamijo, all of these people. I remember, liking them a lot and wanting to be like them, or at the corner of my room, acting like them, trying to be like them. I had friends, even amongst them. I remember I'll grab my father's phone, call them, call the TV stations, call radio stations, and
Wow.
speak. So I always knew, I'd always had this flair for the entertainment industry. So that's pretty much what I remember about passion growing up.
Yeah. And for now, it's so worked out that you're an entertainment lawyer. So that speaks volume, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It does. It
Absolutely.
does. So like in every Nigerian home, like parents, would always want to emphasize the importance of education. You must go to school. School is still everything. But how was it for you? Was it that same kind of situation as well? Did your parents say, Yemisi, what, it's got to be school, and they, some parents will tell you, oh, you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, or engineer. They will state all those things for you, But in your own case, how was it for you?
Education was the only option for me. I didn't even know that there were other options, to be honest. So I didn't have a choice growing up but to face it squarely. My family, my father's family, for instance, they have about two uncles and one auntie that are professors. So it's an academic family for the Falaye family in Ondo State. So education was the only option. And then I remember growing up, I had difficulties in mathematics. I wasn't even up to now. If you ask what 2 plus 2 is, I will have to use a calculator.
Yeah, but the thing is, we can't be good in everything. We have strengths and weaknesses. So it's pretty much understandable.
Yeah. So that was it. I mean, it was my studies or nothing for me and my siblings. So throughout university, throughout secondary school, though I struggled. I'm not going to lie to you. It was by the grace of God that I didn't repeat a class. Somehow, I will always pass. I hated studying. I hated going for classes. I would misplace all my notebooks, misplace everything. But then when it was time for exam, without studying, I'll still pass, even though not the A1, A2, A3 and all of that. But I never repeated any class. I
Good.
successfully, did my secondary school, sat for my YM, and passed enough to gain admission into the university to study law.
Okay, but was law always a clear career path for you?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I didn't know too much about law when I was about to study law. My dad wanted me because I didn't have. I think I had a P8 or something in mathematics. So my options were limited. My dad wanted me to study, I think, psychology, one of those sociology or one of those logy. And I was like, nah, I'm not sure I want to do that. And the only option that I had then was law without mathematics. So I said, okay, so I might as well just do this law. Law is still, that was me ignorantly thinking. Law is still more honorable than any of those courses. So that was why that's how law came about. I went for it.
Cool. Now let's switch a bit to mentorship. Like your career wise, did you have a mentor? All that while you were in school. Even till now, working as a lawyer. What's your take on mentorship?
Mentorship is key. Mentorship will make you find would give you a good experience. Mentorship will not allow you make as much mistakes as you would have made if you didn't have a mentor. I mean, that is when you take mentorship very seriously, because it's not a matter of, oh, that's Ganifa Oyemi, I want to be like Ganifa Oyemi. You need to do what Ganifa Oyemi is doing that has made you admire him. And you need to study Ganifa Oyemi so that you don't make the mistakes Ganifa Oyemi has made. So mentorship is key. Mentorship makes you, attain your goal faster than you would have, if you had ordinarily relied on your own experience. So growing up, when I started studying law, the activism part of law was what I knew per se. So the likes of Gani Fawayemi and Femi Falana were my mentors growing up, in terms of the legal world when I was in law school. But of course, when I got out of law school and I decided to do entertainment law, Joel Katz, who is legal representative to most of the big wigs in the entertainment industry. He has now, in America, he represented Michael Jackson while he was alive, and he still represents his estate now that, he's gone. He's as far as I'm concerned, well, let me say, one of the most successful entertainment lawyers in the world. He has a big law firm in Atlanta, and he's doing pretty much well for himself. He has moved from the stage of being a lawyer to the stage of brokering deals for artists and record label, or every other person in the entertainment industry. So Joe Cart for me right now is a record label in terms of entertainment law. I have my mentors in all spheres of life, depending on what we're looking at.
Yeah. Well, what was most challenging for you, starting a career in law, as a lawyer? What was most challenging?
Having to gain my ground very quickly. My teething period, as a child growing up, you're about to grow some teeth. It comes with the pain.
And you have to crawl. Your child has to crawl before the child walks as well.
Yes, there are injuries. You fall. So I had all of that while growing up as a lawyer. It wasn't easy at all. In fact, it was very, very difficult for me. My firm, ACAS Law, Askdpros Martins, has always been one of the best in Nigeria. And for you to be one of the best, that means you have the best hands. So it was a highly competitive environment. I also had, typical of any human being, I had bosses who were not as patient, you know what I mean? So if you were not showing that interest of growth, then they are moving on. They are just going to put you in a box. My direct supervisor was quite impatient, and no fault of hers completely, though, because the truth is, nobody has time to babysit anybody. I started work at age 27, almost 30. So a 27-year-old woman is old enough to even nurture a child. So nobody has time to start nurturing a 27-year-old woman. So I had all of that, and obviously that actually affected my growth at work. I wasn't being promoted as much as I ought to have been promoted. It was a huge challenge, and it lasted for a very long time. I fought it physically, in terms of, not physical fight, but in terms of, trying to.
and I love prayers as well.
That was where I was going to. I also fought spiritually. you know,
Oh my
uh,
God.
I did a lot of spiritual battle. I just had God on my side by fire, by force, until the breakthrough came. Until the breakthrough came.
But would you say in the course of all that events happening, did you try to build like positive relationships with your boss, like being relatable as well,
Absolutely, absolutely. My personality helped me. Um, you know, even though I wasn't doing so well I didn't meet the standard as much as my employers expected. I had a and I still have a very relatable personality. I'm very warm, I'm very cordial, I'm very friendly. I can be patient, so all of these and more, and then apart from, yes, it's a competitive environment at work, but it was also and it's still a friendly and family environment. So my bosses, the founders of the firm, are not the types that will relieve you of your work. They are very considerate people, and they also understood that as a young lawyer, you will make mistakes. You just need to pick up, brush yourself up as quickly as possible, learn from your mistakes and move on. So because of the relationship I developed with them, they were a bit patient with me. They let me do my thing, and eventually we worked as a team together to develop. Develop my passion, and yeah, that's where
yeah
here we are today, giving thanks to God.
yeah Miss, I must say you've done well for yourself. You built a very good career for yourself, and when it comes to personal branding, because it's very important as well. How do you maintain that part of your life, to keep that standard and maintain, to just be on that part, with your peers, even being like, keep that standard with the artists you work with as well, because you have to maintain that aspect of your life as well, personal branding. How do you maintain that?
I always tell people that God is my PR. There is really nothing I do that I don't involve God in. Permit me to be a bit spiritual here.
It's all right.
There's really nothing I do without um, without the Holy Spirit's direction. Up to what I post on social media, I ensure that I have the leading before I do whatever I do. And then of course I've studied the environment. What I mean the entertainment industry, both in Nigeria and abroad. I've noticed that if you need to, in quote, package yourself in a certain way for you to be acceptable, for you to be known and be received. You can't afford to be everywhere. You can't afford to. Well, I mean, if being everywhere is because there are different dynamics. So if being everywhere is the path you have chosen to go through, then so be it. But if it's the path of being in quotes sophisticated, having refined brand is what you've decided to choose, then so be it, which is what I've decided to do. I try as much as possible to refine my brand. I'm careful about what I say publicly. I'm careful about what I write. I'm careful about the people that I represent as well. I'm careful about where I go. Everything is done with a purpose, and without I just don't do things because I feel like doing them. There are some things I want to say, but I can't say it because of the kind of brand that I've been able to create for myself, and I'm not going to allow anybody or anything rubbish it, basically.
Okay, cool. Yemisi. But does that make you feel, does that make you feel oh, if I wasn't in this position, there are certain places I want to go, there are certain things I want to see, Do you look back and say, do you know what, do, do I really want to be here or not? Do you feel like that sometimes?
No, no. As much as I'm conscious of what I'm doing, whatever I do now is me. What you see is what you get. So I'm not the lousy type. So I'm not the go everywhere type. I'm not the want everything type. So what I'm doing now, who I am now, what you perceive about me now is truly who I am. So I don't miss what I'm not doing. I don't regret what I'm not doing, because what I'm doing is what I am. If you know what I mean. So there's no
Cool.
regrets. There's no nothing bad about anything.
Cool. So what would you tell your younger self?
Mm. Be less playful. I was very playful in secondary school. Be less playful. Be more focused. Uh, be very patient. I wasn't patient, especially during those teething period as a lawyer. I wasn't as patient. I wasn't as coordinated. So I would say younger Yemisi, be more patient, be more focused, um, be more studious. I did study a lot. I did study a lot. I would also say I was spiritual. I'm still spiritual, but be more spiritual, because with God there is nothing impossible.
Cool, cool, cool. That's nice. That's nice. So if a younger girl or younger guy comes to meet you and say, "Yeah, me see, I like what you've done for yourself. I like the way you publicly, the way you've worked with top entertainers, and also like the fact that you're a lawyer as well. What advice would you give me? Now I'm starting my journey. Young guy, young girl starting his or her journey. What would you say to that person?
So I'll first of all clarify whether or not this young person wants to be in my shoes because of the glamour. Because the truth is, there's the glamour, there's the glam part of what I'm doing. I get to hang out with all of these celebrities. I was saying I had an interview the other day, and I was saying that part of the pros of being an entertainment lawyer, being in the entertainment industry, is that I'm not. I've, I've been there, done that with all the celebs. There's hardly any celeb that I can't reach. I don't have a speed dial. You know, I would, I would confirm that that's not all that this young person wants to be, because it's actually more than that. And then I'll also say to that young person, you need to be good at what you do, because artists, creatives are not patient people. If you cannot satisfy them per time, they are moving on to the next person. So you need to be good at what you do. You need to be very, very vast. You need to keep yourself abreast of the industry practice and all of that. Without that, you're just going to be, they call some people Instagram lawyers. If you are not good at what you do, you're just going to be an Instagram lawyer. The real deal, you won't be part of it. So be studious, be keep yourself abreast of industry practice, be willing to learn, be willing to expand your network. Networking is key for anyone who wants to work in the entertainment industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So once you have all of that, you're good to go.
Okay, let me see. With so much success, so much success, and you've done well for yourself, and you're well known. The name, yeah, I'm sure the name Yemisi is a household name now within the entertainment industry.
Amen.
With all that going on, Yemisi, how do you still stay humble? Because I met you about a couple of days ago. From
Yeah.
speaking to you, no one needs to tell me. I know you're a very, kind-hearted and nice person. And you're humble as well.
Thank
How do you still keep that? Because some people will just, I know this person, I know that person, I'm on top of the world, I can do this, I can do that, but for you, you're still grounded, if I may say, how do you keep that?
you. I know where I'm coming from. My journey hasn't been a rosy one. So it will be very daft of me to get there, even though I'm not even there yet. But it will be very daft of me to be where I am now and then start having high shoulders. I didn't get here by my power. I didn't get here by my means. God brought me here. You know, and if I forget the God factor in whatever I am doing, that's an easy way back to go back to where, an easy way to go back to where I am coming from. So for me, I hate pride. I hate pride. I don't, whatever you have achieved, once you have the mindset of God being um, the, the, the
The author and the omega.
exactly, God being the reason why you are where you are, pride won't come to play at all. And you know what they say, pride goes before a fall.
Yeah.
I've fallen several times. I don't want to fall again. So humility is a key word for me. I recite, I say it to myself all of the time. So humility now is part of me. I can't afford to be proud, at least based on where I'm coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so that's very good, very good. And again, so to that, ego, is not your friend. So yeah, it's good, like that. So you're busy. Yeah, me see, you're a very busy person. I know. Without even saying, I know you're very busy. In terms of time management, how do you manage your time? As a busy lawyer, because you might just have the case now. You're going with an artist somewhere else, and you're all over the place. If I may say, how do you manage your time?
That time management thing, it's crazy. I know because I deal with artists are very special people. If you don't give them attention, it's a big deal. You can be with an artist now and then leave the artist for 5 minutes. You go and meet another artist. The one you left 5 minutes ago is already feeling a type of way. you know. So, that's why I call myself a 24-hour lawyer, round the clock lawyer. I don't have any closing time. I don't have any resumption time. You can reach me at any time. You can, you can ask me to do whatever you want at any time. Time management hasn't been a I haven't found it easy managing my time because I'm servicing a lot of people at the same time. And the truth about creatives is that they need to be comfortable with you. They need to trust you before they can commit their career into your hands. And with all sense of humility, I find myself in a position where most of all these people want me personally to handle their affairs. So that, as much as it sounds good, has its own challenges in terms of time management. But in all, like I said, the Holy Spirit is there to guide me. The Holy Spirit is there to help me, and I utilize it all of the time.
So your journey, your story, in all this, talking about your journey, your story and all that, what was the one thing that you want someone to take away from this? Take away, like they will listen to Yemisi and say, I listened to Yemisi, and this is the one thing that Yemisi said that I'm going to go away with. What is that thing that you want people to take away from this?
Nothing is permanent. Whatever you are going through now, especially if it is negative, has a lifespan, has an expiry date. It will come to an end soon, and laughter will come, joy will come, no matter what. And when it comes, it's going to come big. It's going to be like a dream. you are going to be celebrated. You are going to be big. You are going to be a force to reckon with. So whatever you are going through, just be patient, be prayerful, be hopeful, and then just watch God do His thing.
Okay, so when Yemisi is not busy, working with top entertainers, creatives, or being a lawyer, what do you do for fun?
I like to hang out with friends. I like to go out, even before the pandemic, going out has all of a sudden become a chore, you know. But I have this friend. Let me not call her young friend. I have this friend, really, I'm always in her house, just chill, we watch Netflix, just pray. She'll preach, I'll preach, So we just hanging out with friends, basically, particularly really.
Cool. Now there are a lot of songs in Nigeria right now, nice ones, not so nice ones, but I don't want to drag you out, because I just want to be a bit diplomatic with this question, what are you vibing with right now? Because I don't want you to, some my listeners say, oh, Yemisi, so you said you like someone's song more than my song, right? So
I've said it all, so I'm not going to answer that question.
I know. It could be just.
I can't afford to answer that question.
Oh my God!
I vibe all songs.
I knew it was gonna be
all of my songs.
I knew it was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be a hard one for me anyway. Good.
I'm not going to put myself in trouble.
Yemisi, it's been nice having this conversation with you. And you've done it for yourself. And I wish you all the best. In future. I know you've got a good head on your shoulders. And I know you're gonna go places. And I can't sincerely wait to meet you one day. Face to face, meet you and. And yeah, Yemisi, I want to thank you for the time. And I'm grateful as well. For coming on the show. Askdpros.
Thank you, Kes. I wish you all the best too.